Welcome back to our channel. Next week on Beyond the Gates, April 7th, May 1st, 2026. In Beyond the Gates, Vernon Dupree will do anything for his family. Next week, he will help his nephew in a way that could be very expensive. Will Vernon's anger cause him to lose his temper? What if Joey doesn't care about Martin's presidential campaign this time? Okay, so I've been thinking about this and my brain is basically just running in circles right now. Let's start with Vernon and Martin because this whole situation with Joey is it's a lot. Vernon telling Anita, "I'll have to handle Joey myself." Like, what does that even mean in this specific context? The Dupree family obviously knows Martin owes Joey, who, by the way, is a corrupt casino boss, which is like soap opera 101 for this guy will absolutely ruin your life and everything you love. And it's making everyone uncomfortable, obviously. Because Martin is hoping to run for the Senate. Okay, wait, let me back up. Actually, no. First, I should mention that having a Senate run completely overshadowed by a massive gambling debt or whatever kind of shady financial obligation he owes to a guy like Joey is just political suicide. It's not just bad optics. It's a literal crime waiting to be exposed. Vernon knows this. Vernon is basically the patriarch trying to hold this fragile house of cards together with sheer willpower. He tells Joey, "Martin owes me, and one day I'll collect," which is such a badass line, but also, "Is it smart? Leave my nephew alone," he says. He's bravely standing up to Joey taking on Martin's debt so the future senator is debt-free. But will Joey actually accept that? Joey is not the kind of guy who just swaps names on a ledger and calls it a day. I mean, maybe he is, I don't know. But think about it deeply for a second. Joey holds leverage over a future U.S. senator. That is infinitely more valuable than leverage over Vernon, right? Unless Vernon has something Joey wants even more. Wait, what if Joey's long game isn't even about the money at all? It's about owning a politician. If Joey accepts Vernon taking the debt, he loses his direct string to Martin. But then again, that doesn't explain why Joey would even entertain a meeting with Vernon in the first place. Maybe Joey figures if he owns the uncle, he implicitly owns the nephew because Martin will feel incredibly guilty. It's weird, really weird. The whole thing is just weird. I keep thinking about episode 12 or 13. Somewhere around there, where the power dynamics really started shifting in the city. Joey is a shark. He's not going to just let Martin off the hook out of the goodness of his corrupt, gambling-obsessed heart. I feel like Vernon is walking into a massive, unavoidable trap, and Anita knows it. Anita has to know it. That's why he had to tell her he's handling it. He's trying to preemptively manage her panic. Or maybe I'm totally misreading Anita's reaction. Anyway, the point is... Wait, what was the point? Oh right, Vernon's sacrifice. It's noble, but it's probably going to blow up in his face spectacularly. And speaking of things blowing up in people's faces, let's pivot to Ted and Nicole because I am so incredibly conflicted about this entire interaction. Okay, so it's been roughly a year since their marriage completely imploded at their anniversary party at the Fairmont Crest Country Club. Which, side note, was one of the most stressful episodes to watch. I still think about the tension in that room, the lighting, the way everyone was just staring, and now they are on good terms. Really good terms. They've apparently shed a lot of the heavy baggage from their past and are now just reminiscing about warm memories. "We had a great time," Nicole says, sounding all affectionate and soft. And Ted is like, "I miss those people," in this super nostalgic, almost heartbreaking tone. And then they hug. They physically embrace, and we hear Nicole whisper, "Me too." Okay, I know I just said the opposite of this in a previous analysis, but hear me out. Are they getting back together? No, wait, that would be too easy. The writers wouldn't just put them back together after the absolute nuclear fallout of the Fairmont Crest disaster. But their connection is undeniable. It's being explicitly compared to Bill and Donnie's connection, which is fascinating to me. Why Bill and Donnie? Because Bill and Donnie have that sort of eternal, unbreakable, highly toxic, but also deeply magnetic pull to each other. If Ted and Nicole are the new Bill and Donnie, that means they are doomed to circle each other forever without ever actually finding true peace. I mean, not exactly, but kind of. Ted saying I miss those people is so incredibly telling. He doesn't miss her. Exactly, he misses who they were before the trauma, before the betrayal, before everything got so complicated and painful. He misses the innocence of their earlier relationship. But you can't go backwards. You just can't. Or maybe not. I don't know. Sometimes soap couples do just magically forget their trauma and reset. But Nicole's saying me too. There's a profound longing there. It's almost tragic. They are grieving the death of their own relationship while holding the person who killed it. Well, okay, that was a little dark, but you know what I mean. It's just a very heavy scene masquerading as a sweet, nostalgic moment. Which brings me to another deeply dysfunctional family dynamic that I cannot stop analyzing, Scott and Martin. These two siblings are notoriously combative. They are always at each other's throats over something. Lately, it's been quiet, but obviously that was just the calm before the storm because now we are getting a massive, explosive blowout. Martin calls Scott incredibly stubborn. Scott fires back with zero hesitation. And you're a hypocrite, Martin yells. I am not. First of all, I am not is such a juvenile response. It completely undermines his whole I'm going to be a serious, respected senator vibe. But let's look at Scott's accusation. You're a hypocrite. Why? What does she know? Does she know about the casino debt with Joey? If Martin is running on some sort of moral, clean-cut political platform, but secretly owes a fortune to a corrupt casino boss, then yes, he is a massive hypocrite. Actually, no, wait, let me rethink this. Maybe she doesn't know about Joey at all. Maybe the hypocrite thing is about something entirely different. Next week they have to help their parents. Are they fighting over who does more for the family? Martin is the golden boy, the future senator, the one Vernon is literally sacrificing his own safety and financial security for. Maybe Scott feels like Martin preaches about family values to the public but doesn't actually lift a finger to help their parents unless it benefits his political image. That would definitely make him a hypocrite. Probably doesn't matter, but I noticed the way Martin got so defensive, so quickly. He didn't ask how am I a hypocrite, he just immediately denied it. That's the reaction of a guilty person, a person who knows exactly what their sister is talking about. It's like when you accuse someone of lying and they don't ask about what. They just say I'm not. They already know the secret you're poking at. I swear, Scott is going to be the one who accidentally leaks Martin's debt to the press. Not maliciously, but just out of pure sibling spite during a heated argument. Wait, would she do that? She loves her family. But she hates his arrogance. It's a total toss-up, and I am stressing over it. And speaking of family hypocrisy, oh my God, the Smith-Richardson household is a complete and utter mess right now. Samantha is finally calling out the blatant sexism and double standards in this family, and I am entirely here for it. Okay, so the situation. Tyrell and Jessica are making out in his bedroom. Samantha walks in, or at least knows about it, and she just goes completely off. The rule is about having sex with someone else in the house without supervision. She says, okay, wait, pause. Without supervision, what kind of phrasing is that? Does she mean without adult supervision in the house? Because the idea of supervised sex is frankly terrifying and hilarious and definitely not what she meant. I'm assuming she means having romantic partners over when the parents aren't home to monitor the doors or whatever. But her main point is the absolute core of the issue. You accept the son doing it, but not the daughter. She is so right. She is 100% right. The blatant patriarchal double standard of letting Tyrell have his girlfriend in his room, doing whatever, while the daughters are probably locked down under strict curfews is infuriating. How are Smitty and Martin going to react to this? Wait, Martin is involved in this too. See, this is where my brain starts making crazy connections. Is Martin the one enforcing these rules? Or is he just complicit? If Martin is the one telling Samantha she can't have boys over, while letting Tyrell do it, that feeds perfectly into Cod calling Martin a hypocrite. Oh my god, did I just crack the code? Is that why Cod called him a hypocrite? Because of how he treats the women in the family versus the men. I mean, maybe. It would make perfect sense. But then again, the show doesn't always connect the plots that cleanly. Sometimes a fight is just a fight, but I really hope Samantha doesn't back down. Smitty is probably going to give some archaic excuse about protecting the girls, which is basically just code for controlling them. It's exhausting, but it's fantastic drama. Let's move uptown, Donnie. Oh, Donnie, she just cannot help herself, can she? She runs into Vanessa and Tomas, and her immediate thought is, wow, what the hell is going on at that law office? She is so incredibly nosy, but like, in a good way, because we need a POV character to snoop around and ask the questions we as the audience are screaming at the screen. So she's with her best friend and her niece's boyfriend, and she just stumbles into this weird, tense dynamic between Tomas and Vanessa. According to the Monday teasers, Donnie gets pulled into this narrative because she catches Tomas trying to pump Vanessa for information about Lynette. Okay, let's unpack this for a second. Who is Lynette, really, in the grand scheme of things? And why is Tomas so utterly desperate for information about her? Tomas is acting super shady. Trying to casually extract information from Vanessa is a classic manipulator move. He probably thinks Vanessa is an easy target, or maybe he thinks she's naive enough to just drop confidential law office secrets without realizing what she's doing. But Donnie sees right through it. The question is, how far will Donnie go to intervene? Will she confront Tomas directly in the middle of the street? Will she warn Vanessa privately? Donnie has a long, documented history of inserting herself into situations where she absolutely doesn't belong, often with disastrous consequences for everyone involved. But she also has a really good intuition about people. If she thinks Tomas is bad news, he probably is. I just don't want Donnie to get caught in the crossfire of whatever legal or corporate espionage is happening at that law office. Because you know it's not just about Lynette. It's never just about one person. There's probably some massive fraud or embezzlement case brewing, and Tomas is looking for leverage. It's always about leverage on this show. Just like Joey and Martin, see, everything connects if you overthink it enough. My brain is literally corkboard with red string right now. Okay, speaking of things that are deeply concerning and making me lose sleep, Bill and Haley. This is the darkest storyline right now, and it is stressing me out so much I can barely watch their scenes. They're just sitting there, eating a normal meal. Bill suddenly starts coughing violently, like genuinely choking, and Haley just sits there. She literally just sits there and watches him struggle. It is chilling. The notes say she is so over Bill these days. But being over your partner usually means you want a divorce, or you sleep in separate rooms, or you bicker about the electric bill. It doesn't usually mean you sit impassively while they potentially choke to death right in front of you. That is bordering on actual sociopathy. But we already know she's crossing massive ethical and legal lines because she's been slipping drugs into his lattes. Which, by the way, how has he not noticed his coffee tastes off? Or maybe it's a liquid, tasteless drug. I don't know. I'm not a toxicologist. But the fact that she's drugging his coffee is insane. And now he's choking on his food. The obvious question is she drugging his food now, too? Is she escalating her methods? Usually, poisoners escalate. They start small, maybe just making the person drowsy or sick to keep them dependent or out of the way, and then they get bolder. If she's putting something in his food that causes a severe physical reaction like choking, she's moving from sedation to active, life-threatening harm. Or maybe she didn't drug the food at all. Maybe he just choked normally, and her lack of reaction is the real story. Her just watching him. It's like she's testing her own empathy and realizing she has absolute zero left. It's weird, like really weird. Why is she doing this? If she hates him so much, why not just leave? Is there a massive life insurance policy we don't know about? Is she trying to get him declared mentally or physically incompetent so she can take over his assets and control his life? Bill is completely oblivious, which is frustrating because Bill is usually a pretty sharp guy. But when you're being slowly poisoned by the person making your morning latte, your cognitive functions are probably not at their peak. Should we be worried for him? Yes, absolutely yes. Haley is completely unhinged right now, but she's playing it so cool and detached that nobody suspects a thing. I think we are building up to a massive medical emergency. Bill is going to end up in the hospital, and someone, maybe Donnie. Since she's already snooping around other people's business, Uptown is going to figure out his toxicology report is full of whatever Haley has been feeding him. Anyway, my brain is completely fried. I've been staring at these plot threads for hours and I keep second-guessing myself. What do you guys think? Am I totally off base here? Let me know, because I am losing my mind over these details and I need someone to tell me if my theories make any sense at all.